In this video, we're going to go ahead and replace our passenger side front power window regulator. It's going to go inside your door shell behind your door panel. The process for this is the same for the driver's side. With your hood open, you want to go ahead and identify the negative side of that battery. That's this one right here. Let's go ahead and use our 10mm socket. We're going to go ahead and loosen and disconnect the ground side. Slide that terminal off and set that aside. We're going to go ahead and remove this trim cover here using our trim tool. Just going to pop in here and pry this out. Just gently pull out towards you. Pop that off. And we popped off our panel when our little plastic buttons just popped off. You just want to line up the back of that, snap that into place, and then set that aside. On the inside of your door handle area, there's a little cover. I'm just going to use a small pocket screwdriver. Go on in here, pry outward, pop that cover out, set that aside. So I'm going to go ahead and use our trim tool. So I'm just going to go in here and just gently pry upward. This will release the little clips holding this in place. On the bottom side, disconnect your connectors. Find the little push tab on the side. Disconnect those, set that aside. Remove your armrest here, use your trim tool, get underneath, gently pry upward and lift up. You're going to release these plastic clips. I'm going to remove the two large screws in the middle of our door panel here. Once we get this one out here, we're going to move up to the door handle. There's a screw right in the middle here. I'm going to loosen and remove this screw. We want to go ahead and pull our door panel off of the door shell itself. Now there's plastic pins that go all the way around the perimeter of the door. We're going to use our trim tool. We're going to go to the bottom side. Trim tool between the plastic and the metal. And want to twist and pry this out. Try and get your fingers in there and just give that panel a tug. Work your way around the perimeter. Pop in these plastic pins. Now we're ready to lift the door up and get access to the cables on the back side of our handle, as well as unplugging the light on the bottom. I want to make sure we have access to those. Let's go ahead and grab our door panel. We're going to lift upward. On the inside here, we have our cables. I'm going to go ahead and just grab the back side here, pull it out of the latch, swing that cable over and pop that cable and ball end out. And then do the same for the upper. On the bottom corner here, go ahead and disconnect your light. We use a little pocket screwdriver, press in on that tab. Pop that out and go ahead and set that door panel aside. We want to go ahead and remove our water shield from the inside of the door panel here. I'm going to go ahead and start by disconnecting this connector. You're going to use our pocket screwdriver, press in this little tab and disconnect that. Now when we go to remove this here, we can simply pull these cables through the slot here. As you come around, there's a big wire harness here that goes all the way over here, comes up over here to all this other stuff. But we only have a pocket here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply take a razor blade and I'm going to put a small slit in the plastic and make it nice and neat. This is going to allow me to remove this water shield without disconnecting all of our other harness here and interrupting any electrical connections. I want to go ahead and start working on the plastic here, pulling away. There is an adhesive material on this here. You want to be careful not to tear the rest of this up. As for that little slit we put in, if we have to, we can always tape it back up and reseal that. If you're running into any issues with this coming apart, as easy as ours is, simply use a razor blade and you can cut the adhesive as you go around. We're having some pretty good luck removing ours so far. I'm going to continue to do this all the way around until we can go ahead and remove this off the vehicle. Go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to use my pocket screwdriver. I'm going to access this little rubber plug here. Go ahead and get in there and just pop that out. It should be pretty easy to get that removed. Set that aside. Next step, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and reconnect our battery temporarily. We want to go ahead and power up our regulator, and we're going to raise the window up. What this is going to expose to us is our lower beam that is holding our glass is going to have two 10mm bolts. There's going to be one on the left-hand side that is going to be visible through this port right here that we just removed the plug from. And then on the right-hand side, right over here, we want to go ahead, loosen, and remove those two 10mm bolts. That way there it'll disconnect the regulator and the glass. Those two will be separated. Now, in order for us to power this up, we want to go ahead and reconnect our window switch. Let's go ahead and raise this up until we can see the 10mm bolt through here. That is now accessible. Let's go ahead and loosen that bolt. Remove that and then come on over to the other side here. My next step is to carefully raise the glass all the way up. Lock it in position. At this point here, what we want to do is we're going to use either tape or glass suction cups to hold our glass to the top of the door frame. Then we'll lower our regulator and separate the two. The glass will stay stationary and then we'll have access to getting our regulator. Now we have our suction cups holding this in place. Let's go ahead, lower our regulator down. We're going to now remove the bolts holding the regulator in place. This bolt right here, we're just going to loosen it. Now that we have all of our bolts removed and this one here is still holding the regulator in place, we want to come on over here and we want to disconnect our power window motor. We want to use our pocket screwdriver, press up on this little tab in here, disconnect the connector right here. Reach up inside, grab that regulator, push up, dislodging the secure bolt here, and go ahead and remove the regulator and motor. What we want to do is go ahead and use our Torx bit unit here, and we're going to remove the 3 screws holding the motor on here. And go ahead and take your motor, you can line this up. I like to try and get all 3 of these screws started by hand first, and then we'll go ahead and snug these down. You want to go ahead and tighten those down pretty tight. You don't want these to vibrate loose. You always have the option of using some blue Loctite on the threads if you choose to do so. Now we'll go to install our regulator here. You want to be sure to go ahead and swap over the bolt onto the top of the regulator base here. This is going to be the part that we anchor and support the regulator when we install it. Let's go ahead and feed this inside the door. Now let's go ahead and install the rest of the bolt holding this unit in. Now we have our back brace in here. Can install these 2 here. Let's go ahead and install the other bolts over here. Now we should have 2 bolts left. These 2 bolts here have washers on them. These are the 2 that we're going to be utilizing for our regulator when we drop our glass back into it and you attach there. We have all of our bolts installed. Let's go ahead and tighten these down. Let's go ahead and install our power window motor harness. Snap that into place. With the battery reconnected, we're going to go ahead and power this regulator up. And we're going to try and get the bar in place for our glass here. Now this track right here moves back and forth, so that's going to help you align the bolt holes here with the rubber base on our glass. So gently raise this up. Be able to reach up inside. And just want that glass to come in contact with that regulator. At this point here, let's go ahead and remove your tape or your suction cups like we have here. We want to slowly lower our glass down. You can see here that our glass is not lined up with our regulator. So I'm reaching up with my left hand. I'm going to slowly push up on that glass a little bit. I'm going to slide this guide over and we can lower this down into position. We're going to want to do the same for the front. What we're going to do is we're going to lower the glass down with the regulator. And we're going to look through the port on the left-hand side here. I'm going to make sure that our bar is lined up with our glass on that side as well. And it is in fact lined up. And take your bolts here and just raise that up. Let's go ahead and get that forward bolt started here. Now we're not going to tighten it down yet. We want to go ahead and get the other bolt started here. Make sure this lines up. With both of these bolts installed, let's go ahead and snug those down. I want to make sure those are pretty snug. Let's go ahead and run that glass up and down a few times here. Make sure everything lines up nice. Let's lower our window all the way down. I'm going to disconnect our switch here. Let's go ahead and get our water shield installed. Grab your water shield, get your cables. You're going to feed those through first. You have this connector right here. It's going to pop through the back side right here. Let's go ahead and just line this up in our general area. Now, if your adhesive isn't working anymore, just go ahead and use some good tape, some heavy, that fancy silver tape. Sticks really well to a lot of things. That's always helpful to use on something like this if you need to. Now our adhesive is working pretty dang well. Just going to work our way around, and that tiny little slice we put in here, just work this around like so. You want to go ahead and connect your connector right here. Simply line that up. And snap it into place. Don't forget to install your rubber plug. Let's go ahead and install the connector for your door panel light. Let's go ahead and install your cables here. So you can drop that ball down into the unit and then pop your latch into it. Okay, it's working as it should. I want to go ahead and get the top part of our door panel onto the door shell itself. So we started by getting the front portion pushed in and down, and then just work your way back. Once this is all the way down, we should be able to work our way around the perimeter, snapping in our plastic push pins. Install your screws into the door panel. Just make sure those are pretty snug in there. Once they bottom out just a hair bit more, it should be good. And we have our third and last screw up in the door handle area, up on the top. Spin that in and just snug that in. It doesn't have to be super tight in there. Take your trim bezel here. You have little tabs on the back side. So pull that out, line that up, just press in, snap that into place. Take your armrest, you're gonna have these little clips going around the perimeter. Simply line this up, squeeze it down, snap that on. So you're gonna pull your connectors out here. So you connect our little one there, and then the main switch unit right here. Tuck this down. Just line that up and pop it into place. Once you get that in, now I want to go ahead and install your final panel here. You should have these 3 plastic push pins. This should line right up. Snap it in, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.